Okay, this is now recording, so we will get started on this. Alright, I'm going to start by filling in the degrees. I think that's kind of the easier one to do. So I start by filling in the degrees. I know right here is degree 0. Alright, so get your big one. You notice I gave you a big one. This will be the one that you can refer back to. We'll fill it in today in class. The other two little ones are just for you to practice on. If you practice on it and you want some more to practice on next time, I'm going to make a bunch of them and let you practice on those, okay? So they're just for your benefit to practice to see if you can do this. I'm going to do what I call the anchor ones for all of these, the ones that we know. We know that's 0. We know the top is 90 degrees, right? This one then over here is 180, and then this right here is 270, and when I come back around, this is 360. Okay, so I'm going to fill those in first, so then I know that I'm on my way to doing it right, because as I go around the other way, if I mess up when I get to that point, I won't be at 90 or whatever. I will have messed up. Okay? So I already did one lap around to fill those in. I'm going to do another lap around, only doing the 45s. So I start with 0, add 45 to 0. What do I get? 45. Wow, that was an easy one. Okay. And everybody's good 45 degrees is halfway in between 0 and 90. Alright. Another 45 gets you at 90. Add 45 and you are 135, so that goes there. Add 45 and you should be at 180. If you're not, you mess something up. Okay. Add 45, 225. Add 45, you should be back at 270. Add 45, 315. Add 45, you should be back at 360. Okay? That way you're doing it in groups instead of trying to do it all in one shot. Okay, now you're going to go around. The ones that are left, you're going to keep adding 30. Alright, so here, first one is 30, plus 30, 60, plus 30 puts you back at 90. Plus 30, 120, plus 30, 150, plus 30, back at 180. So I know I'm on track. I haven't accidentally hit something wrong in the calculator. 210 would then be the next one. 240, the one after that. 270. Next one would be 300. And then 330. So in one pass, it's hard to do, but if you do it as 3 laps around, it's much easier. Okay? Does that help out? Alright, let's do the same thing with radians. With radians, I start here at 0. Up to the top is pi over 2. Okay, you can do this by saying this is, you're dividing by 2. So this is 1/2 pi. This next one over here is 2/2 pi, but what is 2/2 really? Just 1, so this is just pi. The one down here on the bottom would be 3/2 pi. And then 4/2, which reduces down to 2 pi. Alright, so the first lap around to get your anchor ones, you're dividing by 2. So 0 over 2, 1 over 2, 2 over 2, 3 over 2, 4 over 2. You have to reduce it in your head to put the correct number down. But if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you should be fine. Alright, next lap around, our 45 degree angle, we're going to divide by 4. Start here, up to here, 1/4. Remember, you always put a pi with it. Alright. Then up here would be 2/4, which reduces down to a half, right? So 1/4, 2/4,
Why did nobody else teach it?
3/4.
Why the heck
I have no idea why people don't teach it this way. 4/4, that's pi. 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and then 8/4.
What the heck is this? What? Her too. What the heck was Kim?
I thought everybody did it this way. I had no idea that.
Puts it on a board and says memorize this.
See, I'm not a memorizer, so I had to come up with a way to do this that made sense. I'm a person who likes to solve problems, not memorize solutions. I like to work out new solutions all the time. So it takes me longer to do some things, but I never forget things either. So, all right, next time around we are going to divide by 6. So we can do the last lap by dividing by 6. Remember, you're going to have to reduce when you have an even number divided by an even number, okay? So the first one is 1/6, so pi over 6. Then I've got 2/6, which reduces down to 1/3, so pi over 3. And then this would be 3/6. So 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6.
Did you say redfish? Finish.
5/6, 6/6. So if you get off track, you don't hit that at 6/6. Go back and check it. 7/6, 8/6, 4/3. So that was 8. This is 9. Okay. 10/6.
Dang it, I lost you. Hold on.
If you get lost, come back to like here. There's 7/6, 8/6, 9/6, 10/6, 11/6, 12/6. And voila, we have, isn't that,
What the heck?
okay, let's fill in the coordinate points for each one of these dots going around here. So we'll start with this one right here. This has an x value of 1, and the y value is 0. If I go up to the very top up here, the x value is now 0, the y value is now 1.
Wait, where'd you go?
Up to the very top, the 90-degree angle.
Oh,
Did I go off the screen? I'm sorry.
So the other one would be -1.
This one over here would be -1 for the x and 0 for the y. And down here the x is 0 and the y is -1. Now remember how I said the order went. It goes 0, 1/2. If you're going up, it's going 0, 1/2, square root of 2/2, square root of 3/2. Okay? I'm going to just do the first quadrant. After I do the first quadrant, I can use that to then do the rest of these. So 2 ways you can do this. You can either continue with the pattern, or you can do quadrant 1 and then just look at similar triangles, and what they call it is reference angles from the first quadrant to fill in the other ones. Alright, I'm going to show you that method. I think that method is easier, and you can pick whichever method you want. Alright, so this point right here, where the 30-degree or the pi over 6 would land, I want to know what that point is. Well, in the x direction, it went back, it went down a little bit from 1. So that must be square root of 3 over 2. For the y value, though, it increased, right? So I went from 0 up to a half. Okay? You can follow the pattern for the rest of the first quadrant. So you could just do the x values first. 1 square root of 3 over 2. Remember, it's going down, it's getting smaller. Square root of 2 over 2. 1 over 2, 0. The y values, on the other hand, are getting bigger. 0, 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, 1.
So they just flipped the first one and the
Yeah.
second.
And that makes sense because what was the opposite side here is the adjacent side there. If you, the 30/60. Yeah, you have to, yeah. Okay. Reference angles is probably the easier way to then fill in the rest. Remember that the x values are going to be negative in which quadrant?
That one.
2 and 3. So over here the x values are going to be negative. I like to, a lot of times, I won't do it when I'm filling this out because I don't want to mess you up, but if I'm filling this out on my own, I just put the values in and then I go back and I put the negatives where they need to go. Okay, but so I don't mess you up, I'm going to, as I go along, I'm going to do the negatives where they're supposed to go. So this is just, went up just a little bit off of the axis, right? It just came up a little bit. So 30 degrees and 150 degrees, don't they kind of do the same thing? Okay, in fact, we say that 30 degrees is the reference angle for 150. So it's the same values here, square root of 3 over 2, but since that's the x value, that's negative, and this is the 1/2. Now you can follow the pattern around, looking at what's going on in the x direction and the y direction, and do the whole thing. What's another angle that would have 30 as the reference angle?
The next one down. The 210.
210 would, and what else? And 330. Okay, because 330 is underneath. In fact, you could call that negative 30 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so fill in the numbers there. Remember, so this is another square root of 3 over 2, both negative, and another 1/2, and that one's negative also. Be careful down here in quadrant 4, the first one, the x value is positive, and the negative goes on the y value. Alright, pretty easy to now find all the 45 degree ones, and those are all square root of 2's over 2's.